Nestled among the lush green that frames the villages in Makueni County are lives battered and bruised. The ripples of unimaginable pain veiled in the stillness. Such horridness in the face of beauty. It could just be a piece of heaven, but for many here it is a slice of hell. The squeezed pathways leading to Kikoko village in Kilungu are tucked in the steep inclines in the hilliest parts of Makueni. Walking through them feels like staring down an abyss. In this compound, a man gently holds his granddaughter, his mien revealing little of the strife that he and his family has had to endure. As the head of this home, he is the father and the mother of his children and a grandfather to the family's newest member, this 6-month-old baby. His wife died 10 years ago while giving birth to their last-born child.
Mimi nafanyanga kazi ngumu ya kuanjiliwa na watu kulima kukonga mawe kutoa matuvara hakuna kazi nyingine mimi nafanyanga. In between menial jobs, he has to come home to help his youngest daughter with the baby. She is only 14 years old. Mimi ni baba ya watoto 5 na mtoto wangu wa 4 ndio alipewa mimba na mzee mwingine, na hiyo mtoto alipewa mimba akiwa 13 years. Na hata hiyo mzee anajua hiyo mtoto ni wangu na ana mama. Hata hiyo ilikuwa ni jambo la kushangaza.
When her baby was born, the young girl had to stay in hospital for a month, and he had to make the 6-kilometer journey from home to check on mother and child daily.
Na huyo mtoto wakati alijifungua mtoto wa kilo 1.7. Nami nikaenda huko mtungu wa Vicenda nikapeleka pampers na soup. Karibu mwezi mzima ndio huyo mtoto akaweza kufikisha kilo 2.
The 14-year-old girl, suddenly thrust into motherhood, had trouble adjusting. There's little her father could do to help her nurse the baby. She had to find her own way to do it.
After she was sent to the hospital, baba alikuja. Hiyo ilikuwa wakati wa corona. Akaniambia ameambiwa kuje na nguo za mtoto kwa sababu msichana alikuwa amejifungua na hajui ni nguo gani. So haraka tu nilienda kwa nyumba pamoja na wamama wengine, tukasaidia kutafuta nguo za mtoto, alafu tukampatia akaenda hospitali.
All torn up by her circumstance, she gives us a glimpse into her pain. Her child, the fruit of an unspeakable act by someone she knew too well, trusted even.
Alikuwa ananiambia nikimwona niende. Mimi tu nikaenda. Venye nilienda, akanipatia biscuit, sweet na mandazi, akaniambia chukua hizo na usiseme. Kesho nitakuja kukuambia kitu. Venye nilienda, akaniambia tukutanie pale kwa kicheka. Mimi venye nilikutana na yeye, akaniambia tuende kwangu. Mimi nikamuuliza nitaenda kwako kufanya nini? Akaniambia nitaenda kukuonesha. Venye aliniambia hivyo, mimi tu nikaenda. Bibi yake alikuwa hapo nyumbani. Akaniambia utapitia hapa nyuma bibi yangu asikuone. Mimi nikapitia tu, akaenda tu akaanzia kunishikashika mwili yangu. Na venye alikuwa ananishikashika, mimi nikamwambia mimi sijui vibaya na mimi niko shule, kwa hivyo mimi achana na mimi niende nyumbani. Akaniambia hapana, tukae hapa kidogo. Mimi nikamwambia mimi sikai hapa. Venye nilimwambia hivyo, akanitoa sukari, na venye alinitoa mimi nikamwambia sasa wewe unanitoa sukari na watu venye watatuona wataenda kuambia babangu mimi niache. akakosa kuniacha. Mi akaniambia shika 50 bob na usiseme.
She was then enmeshed in frequent hide-and-seek sessions with her abuser to stay under his wife's radar, with the gifts luring her to her abuser's den, ranging from sugarcane to money. Her baby is now at the center of a paternity battle that has been playing out in court. The baby's grandfather, restrained by law from speaking about the case, still hopes the law will shackle the perpetrator and emotionally free their daughter, long robbed of her childhood.
Nafaa kuwa darasa la 6. Then from there tuliongea na baba yake mzazi because the mother is late. Kutoka hapo sasa tukaanza kufuatilia the issue. Katika kesi hii ya huyu msichana tajaribu kuzungumza na babake tuone ikiwa mtoto akiwa mkubwa anaweza rudi shuleni, lakini kuna changamoto. Hana mama mzazi na hana nyanya wala babu. Kwa hivyo mzazi ambaye ni tegemeo ni babake peke yake na kazi yake ni ya vibarua. Kwa hivyo sijui kufikia hapo labda sasa serikali iingilie baada ya mtoto akiwa mkubwa tuone vile tutamsaidia.
From the remote hamlets to the urban areas, the scars of violence against innocence run deep under the veil of normalcy. In this home in Wote, they play and bond, oblivious of their complex blood relations. All 3 of them share a father. But one of them was born of a forbidden act, a father who forced himself on his daughter. The baby's grandmother breaks down every time she thinks of how her husband took away her daughter's dignity.
Ilikuwa on Saturday, mwezi wa 6. Alinitisha chai. Kwanza alituma wakaenda wakanunua mkate. Na mimi akaniambia nimweke chai. Nilipomweka chai akanishika akanikanyangia hapo kwa kitanda na akanishika.
Nilijaribu kupiga kelele wa majirani wa kusaidia.
Hakukuwa mtu.
Her own father, she says, threatened her and intimidated her into silence until the secret she kept could no longer be hidden.
Alikuja kukundua kama ni mjamzito mwezi wa 10. Saa alifushikwa na babake aliambiwa asiwahi niambia. Mimi hapo hata saa hii akiongea mimi nasikianga uchungu. Hata inaniumiza sana.
The perpetrator was handed a 20-year sentence after being found guilty of rape. A DNA test that proved he was the baby's father sealed his fate.
Mtu ananiambianga tu lea watoto na usiwe na usiwe na mashida yote, usiwe nafikiria wachana tu nao, lakini lea watoto tu. Msichana hata alikuwa anaambiwa nisiwahi mkataza kuenda kanisa.
This church embodies the strain of this interminable sexual violence that has ripped through the community. It is their sole source of solace amid the turmoil.
If you touch my private parts,
the social workers here help the children muster the courage to speak out against those who would do harm to them. It's a guide to an uncertain life for the children aged between 10 and 17. And an important lesson about their being.
Assume now you are in your family, Cindy. Now you your mother, your father, their extended family members.
At the end of the session, the children write down their own experiences, their fears, those tests that bind them all together. From the scribblings on the cards and out of the diverse backgrounds, shared patterns emerge, like recurring dreams in a collective conscience.
A certain friend of mine was forced to have sex with her father so as to have increased pocket money. What was the immediate action she should have taken to avoid this because she is not willing?
When someone has been raped by her pastor and goes to tell the church leadership, they don't want to take the most control or wanyamaze na wakwambie unyamaze. What can someone do?
Mine is just a question on how to deal with the close relatives who usually defile their nephews and nieces in the name of they are just assisting them because they are orphans. How can we as girls deal with the men who usually abuse us as orphans? Just help.
In my school, watchman touched a girl's private part while she was buying something. He was taken to jail, but now he is working as a motorist.
There is a girl in our school who tells her the father touches her private parts and he gives her 200 shillings, but she asks her not to tell. How can she be helped?
This an ensemble of ghosts that continue to haunt them. The Makueni County Referral Hospital is the beating heart of the county. The hospital aisles and walkways are teeming with patients and their minders, friends and families checking in on their loved ones on the mend. But behind these walls and amid the flutter of hospital activity, some other patients are secretly healing their emotional scars above the visible and physical. Health workers are tending to one such patient. She was brought in a week ago with a broken jaw. She needed reconstructive surgery. The path that led her here was born of peril. She had argued with her husband after he took her money, 50 shillings, all she had to put food on the table for the day. Her insistent pleas to give it back, and her a broken jaw.
Ukaniuliza umenianza. Mahali umeshinda ndiko umenitolea hiyo mdomo, umeniletea mdomo hapo. Kumwambia basi kama kukuuliza chakula ni mdomo, nimenyamaza. Mimi nilikuja kustukia tu, nikijipindua ndani na mwakika nasikia mdomo iko peke yake, kichwa iko peke yake. Sasa hilo nilianza kutoa ndani ile naingia na ndani. Ndio mtoto wangu alisikia. Akafika pasi hivi. Akaniona ndani kwa natoka. Naye akatoka nje kwa anafika nduru analia.
She is now on the mend, at least for her physical wounds, but she still worries for her children and her husband who has become a stranger to her and her family.
Alinipatia kwanza na message. Nikamishuku sasa. Nikaenda nikafima. Na mimi nikapatikana na ugonjwa. Nikauliza na daktari, kuna mahali kuna wasiwasi, nikamwambia kuna. Na ukipatikana utafanya nini? Nikamwambia kuna. Utatulia, nikamwambia nitatulia.
While at the hospital's Gender Recovery Center, she gets the care she needs to heal body and mind.
Since from March up to date, we have been having cases of domestic violence whereby the women are more affected. They are violated by their husbands or their partners because they expect the father, the husbands to provide food. But most of them lost job because of coronavirus. So there's a lot of marital conflicts, and you find also when they fight, also their children are affected emotionally.
Psychologist Penina Ndonye says alcohol and substance abuse have been fueling the rise in cases of domestic and sexual violence. The SGBV Recovery Center has so far received 141 cases of sexual assault, 84 cases of physical assault, and 7 cases of sodomy involving young children. The facility has also lost 7 people who succumbed to their injuries while receiving care here. Between January and September, Makueni County has recorded a startling 786 cases of domestic and sexual violence.
I have not been happy with the law enforcers because we have such beautiful laws. but they are not implementing them. You find that perpetrators of sexual and gender-based violence are going scot-free.
While they seek medical care and safety away from harm, an isolated center in a discreet location will be a temporary haven.
The key admission criteria for admitting at the safe shelter can be either security, can be either when the perpetrator has not yet been apprehended. Now, when they move to the safe shelter, basically, if they were on medical management, they'll continue with the medical management.
The shelter has 2 wings for either gender. These empty beds represent the patients who have succeeded in piecing together their torn lives and had the courage to go back home. So for reasons that are purely on security matters, we cannot disclose the exact location of this safe shelter for victims of gender-based violence who are survivors indeed within this Makueni County. However, we can confirm that it doesn't discriminate on age or gender. However, the victims can only be here for 14 days only. The center has been up and running since March at the height of the COVID-19 pandemic.
It took us 2 months for everything now to come back to normal, and now the reporting came ×2. In which case now we saw cases being reported of violence that was that occurred in March, in April, and up to date there are cases which are still coming up that they are a little bit delayed. It is a challenge because now the evidence collection has already been destroyed.
The recovery center and the safe space were the brainchild of the Makueni County administration, which hopes to enforce measures against violence through policies and legislation.
We have gender mainstreaming policy, so that's the foundation. Because without policy, it's somebody, if another government comes up and finds this gender recovery center, they will say it doesn't need to be there.
While they receive medical care, they also get legal aid to begin the process of seeking justice for the atrocities committed against them.
If we can get pro bono lawyers, we do. If we can we use our lawyers, because we have a directorate of legal, we do that. So I've found that when we speak out, our cases really don't, so justice is actually done. The problem is that a lot of people, because of very meager income, so some of them actually do not appear in court, but where we can, we provide transport.
On the floor of the Makueni County Assembly, Janet, a nominated member and an activist against sexual violence, is kicking her fight against GBV a notch higher. She has proposed a bill seeking to secure the rights of persons against sexual harassment or violence within the workplace and keep those preying on the vulnerable at bay.
We are all human beings and we can work together. We are equal. The only difference we have is biological. I am looking and I am dreaming to see that in society.
The bill proposes training for law enforcement and the local leadership on how to handle cases of violence.
Actually, I had a very traumatizing case from Mutitwande some times back, where a 4-year-old boy was sodomized. The boy was treated at Nairobi Hospital. By then, we didn't have the Gender Violence Recovery Center. So it is not only women who are going through this. Even young children are suffering a lot.
Little and measured steps towards healing the wounds of violence in this community. For these scarred and scared people, it is an arduous journey with no finish line in sight. Like prisoners without a name or cells without numbers, they harbor a strong desire for change. For now, they will wait for the storm to pass. Leila Mohammed, NTV, in Makueni County.